So, first off, just want to say thank you for coming on the show.
My pleasure.
And for those that don't know, I just want to give you the chance to give us a little background. Who are you? What are you building? And what else is up?
Thanks for Jeff for having me. Again, we shook hands probably at the beer pong, and I'm pretty sure you don't remember because you were, I don't know how many beers you
Oh,
were
don't
in.
say that. Don't say that.
Come
No,
on, I
that's
haven't
not
started
fair.
that.
That's not fair. That's so not fair.
No, no, it's
I
all
held
good.
myself fine. I was sober and then I wasn't. So maybe it was probably somewhere in between that.
Hey, dude, I was disqualified. I don't drink alcohol, so I was not allowed to play until I realized that Tayyab did that game, right? He's like, I'm not drinking, the other guy is, and they freaking won. So I should have
Did you
played
see
that
that?
way.
Did you
Yeah.
see that? So for people that don't know about the beer pong tournament, Aki hosted a 32 person tournament to play beer pong. People that are in the Farcaster community were paired up with one another, and then they just played beer pong. And they made teams. They put it on their site. They were able to bet on it in real time. Just showcasing how fun their app is. Chinmay and I were both involved and we were both invited, which was awesome. But my partner was sober, was not drinking. So I had to drink for the both of us. And so it sounds like so you got disqualified because you weren't drinking?
I didn't even apply because in the past
Oh, okay.
I've been disqualified from playing beer pong because I don't drink. So I didn't even apply. Otherwise, if I knew that was an option, that would be fun. But hey, I'm not trying to point you out that you were drunk. That's okay. That was the whole game about,
Oh,
right?
I'm
But
just messing with you. Of course. No, I'm being silly. Yeah,
it's all
people,
good, all
it's
good.
okay. It's okay if people already know that I was playing in a beer pong tournament. I hope they would think that yes, I got drunk because I would also like to say Cooper and I did make it to the championship. We got
You
absolutely
did.
destroyed. We got destroyed, but got to the championship. And then to Garrett and Type's credit, they had the same they had the same situation where Garrett had to drink for him as well. So
For tie up, yeah.
we were both a little at the end of the night. We were both a little cross-eyed,
It's
but
funny that
it
both
was very fun.
teams won or both teams playing the final had the same strategy,
Well, there you go.
willingly or unwillingly, but that was funny. That was
And the thing,
hilarious.
yeah, and the thing that was so funny about all of it is, and shout out to Tim and John and Max for putting it all together because the thing that was so cool about it is they were so makeshift the entire time. They adjusted everything on the fly. They made it super fun. It was very like low key. I think the underground and like off the beaten path, like speakeasy element to it made it even more enjoyable to be a part of. And not to say like I'm new. I just got to Farcaster about a month ago, and so like to be invited and just even asked to play was like so fun. It was so cool and humbling for me, and then to see how much fun everyone else had, to be able to meet you in person, like it was that URL to IRL connection that I just think is so
That was
special about
fantastic.
Farcaster. But yeah, no, I mean to the strategy part, it's pretty funny that the two teams that ended up in the championship, one was sober, so the person that was sober had to be dialed in. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
Because the other person's not making
Not at
anything.
all.
But
Yeah.
anyway,
But
no, we had
hey,
a lot of fun. Yeah.
absolutely. No, no, I'm just finding that out. That was super fun. You asked for an intro. So personally, I've been on Farcaster for roughly 2 years. So luckily, I've known and made some good friends. I come from a development background. I started coding roughly 15 years ago, was an open source developer, then be part of multiple startups, started multiple startups. Lucky some places, unlucky some places, startup rules. Perks in 2021 when one of my friends reaches out to me and say, "Hey, Shopify wants to do some NFTs things, or clients on wants to do some NFTs things on top of Shopify platform." And I'm like, "Yeah, let's talk to the clients." And but wanted to build a product. We talked to them. It was Budweiser's, Super Plastic, and amazing other clients. So that's how we got in. I've been personally in crypto 5 years before that. So at that time, I'm like, "Yep, I know how to onboard these people." We onboarded. We did a bunch of NFT sale. So that's the history of Porks, fast forwarding roughly 4 years or 3 years. Last December, we realized that Porks itself is reaching its ceiling in terms of what we can do. We still have VC money, we have long runway. What do we do? And then we start looking at a couple of the product opportunities. And that's where we started building Basket. And Basket is basically, from my perspective, I'm a non-technical guy now because there are other better coders in the team. But with that idea, the idea is people can create basket like you and me, people who are researching tokens on a daily basis. And if we find a theme, if we find gems, then we put them in one place and say, hey, my community, if you want to use my research, just buy into this basket and you get all of those tokens in one go and you can manage the baskets from there. So you can sell all of them and everything around that. So that's how Basket has started. We have more than 500 baskets. 80 of them are, like, in my opinion, pretty good ones. And we are constantly getting new baskets created by the community, by us, everywhere around it, and trying to figure out how can we get more and more people to buy into more baskets. So that's like TLDR version of who I am and what I'm working on.
So, what I do want to do, and you did a great job of summarizing, but let's kind of break down your roadmap of pre Web3. So, it sounds like that was around 2016, yeah?
So I've been working in before crypto. I've been working in mostly e-commerce and startup area quite a bit. Like, so I graduated on 2010, 2011, and even graduation, I was doing a bunch of freelancing work, but mostly around like website development, mobile development, e-commerce, and any agency work as well. So pivotal moment wise, pre-crypto, I think I was an immigrant to Canada, and when I came here. I was not aware of the startup culture, but I wanted to get in because, again, a fan of Google, fan of Microsoft, fan of Apple, like what these people have done. So, of course, I've gone through all the biographies to make sure that, like, know what, like, I feel it, but I don't know how to get into. So, I got involved quite a bit in the Toronto startup culture. And in 2013, one of the seasoned entrepreneur based in Canada was starting another company and he took a shot at me as their CTO. And I'm like, I'm junior, but he wanted someone to build. And I'm like, yeah, I think I can build. Let's go. And we built the product together. It didn't go much further, but we sold it, mini sold it, and it worked out for me really well. Where I got a lot of exposure as an immigrant kid who doesn't have much exposure to somebody who's like in the thick and thin of startup culture, tech culture, and at the forefront of it, and ability to lead in some places that was like a big moment for me in my career trajectory that allowed me to like, oh, wow, this is my point of view and what I can see to this is what I can see and this is what I can do. Oh my God, like people, this is how people rate, this is how people do business. And surprisingly, it was not much different than what I had seen in India. I come from a background where most of my uncles and aunts and my dad and everyone is basically type of an entrepreneur. I come from a culture where people don't really do job. They just have like even the smallest version of their own business, even if they are not making as much money. I think that's what the culture I grew up in. So when I saw that business mindset and everything around that on a non too much scaled version with a startup culture, I'm like, you know what? There's so much similarity. There is nothing to be feared about. Like it's something that I can literally translate one to one instead of like in India, if somebody comes to your office, you offer them chai. In here, you offer them coffee. That those are like minute differences. Otherwise, the fundamental is the same. You solve problems, you get paid. Period.
That's right. So,
So that
where,
was a big pivotal moment for me.
of course, so going back to pre Canada, then, where did you grow up in India?
I grew up in a town called Ahmedabad. I would say it's not the mega city, but it's probably metro city. Sorry, it's not a metro city, but it's a mega city. So it's like in the top 10 cities in India, but not in the top five. So it's not get talked much. But I could see the hustle and bustle. I'm in the thick and thin of like people waking up early, hit their offices, wherever they work. So I've seen the hustle culture quite closely, but at the same time, I've been able to like go slow as well because I've seen the other side as well because it's not a metro city. So Ahmedabad, which is which is one of the western towns slash city in India.
So I'm really curious because I was introduced to Code of Crypto. I don't know if you know Ari.
Not really. Maybe a bit past comments, but nothing in detail.
So he's very passionate about the Web3 presence in India and the amount of developers that are out there, you know, how much talent there is, and then the population growth. And there's so many interesting things that are going on excuse me, not Canada, India right now. You know, I'm pretty sure he was just educating me on this, but there's the Farcaster Builders of India.
FBI.
And and then that's now Farcaster Builders of like International, I believe is what it's called now. And forgive
Oh,
me, I've
okay.
only been here for a month. So, because I think they expanded into Africa, I believe. But anyway, this is like something that I think is really appealing to me, you know, as someone that's like trying to get a pulse of what's happening within Web3. And you
Yep,
see the most wallet usage, you see all of it's coming from India, right? The most people
quite a
that
bit.
are really interacting with it, it's coming from there. And I think it's really exciting. I don't know. So, do you still have ties or any involvement within India right now, or are you just very much I'm focused like head to the ground, Western boy like now. What's that kind of look like?
So right now I'm more introduced to the North American aspect of it. So what's happening in Canada, what's happening in US compared to what's happening in India. I still have some friends who run those. So I met the founder of FBI. I know some other ecosystem leads there who's in different regions of India itself. But I'm not I don't think I have first-hand experience understanding the ecosystems as much as have seen in the North American culture. So it's basically arm's length knowledge. I can tap into them whenever I want, but so far I haven't done so yet.
Yeah, no, understood. This is all just curiosity, top of the head,
Yep.
because as I'm exploring and trying to figure out the space, it's really cool to just see how many people are doing so many different things that are it's all net positive too. I mean, it's introducing things like Farcaster to India, and then they're like miles away ahead of a lot of pockets of where we are as Westerners in the United States, Canada. There's people that are
Yeah.
adopting things and implementing things way quicker, and that's where it's like you're just
Yeah.
watching from a like 10,000 foot view. You're seeing how the like global economy is shifting in that there's this huge presence and dominance of the United States when it comes to tech, right? And if
Yeah.
you're backing and understanding like the future of Web3 and how it's decentralized and democratized and it's going to provide access, which is the goal, right? Like there
Yeah.
should be no caps or borders or so when it comes to something like this, it should be a free flowing market. And that's what Web3 is providing. And so for me,
Yes.
what's really interesting is like, okay, how do I need to put myself in the mindset of a founder, of an investor, of a participant, where it's like, okay, the tides are changing. So what does that mean? What do I need to prepare myself for if I'm thinking of building? Like maybe the best talent is going to inevitably be in India. If I'm also more costly for the stage that we're at right now. If I'm an
Mhm.
investor, what little like accelerator programs like a FBI are coming out of India? Like how am I getting exposure to that? And it's not just this like Silicon Valley closed-minded attitude of like, oh, I just need to go here, here, and here. That shift is happening right before us.
Absolutely. Like I think builder culture in India is growing exponentially. I don't think market is thinking in terms of using mini apps or dApps or anything like that yet. They more care about their day-to-day life than anything else, which is the standard approach that any user would have. So I don't know about the market wide. If India is a big enough market for Web3 other than like top five performing coins. But in generally, like in terms of builder culture, it's huge. There are people who are like exploring anything and everything, and different ecosystems have figured out how to tap into them, whether it's through promoting hackathons, is it to going to college or universities directly and then onboarding and like having tie-ups and like having courses that give course credits to the students. So there are different approaches there that different ecosystems have nailed down. But I think as a user couldn't care less about Web3. But that's the normal culture with every other user. And I think that's the right way to think about it. Like I should not be caring about like if how the internet works or what the internet is. All I should care about is if I have an app or a user, if I click this button, something happens. Right? That's what it is. And that culture in India, they will try everything. As long as if we give them like 5% improvement on something, they will try it because that becomes like the talk of the town. Somebody's basically showing off their skills. So 5% improvement in their day-to-day life, it will get adopted. That is a market that will at least try it out.
One of the things that I think is really important that you hit on is the fact that people do not care about how the sausage is made. No one cares. And so it's funny how, I was just on with Sid, who's starting Gina. And one of the things that he was talking about, and I think this kind of all comes together, is that we're seeing these networks and these blockchains as like religions. I am a
Yep.
Solana maxi, I am a ETH or base maxi, and
Yep.
this is why. Okay, great. But to your point, it's like you shouldn't care about that. The way that they were marketed was genius because it brought the money in and it got everyone excited. You launch a token on that chain, it builds this cult. They did an amazing job of marketing. And then for
Yep.
me, like what I'm seeing and a part of why I love starting this channel is that I want founders to get that attention. Like that is where the religion, that is where the cult should exist, not the infrastructure. It's like saying Instagram powered by like Amazon Web Services or like powered by like Oracle, you name it. But like that doesn't add up. Like, I mean, it's cool to have like a really well performed, but like, why are we marketing that as the sexy piece of it when it should be hey, this is the app, like this is the thing that will do the thing. That's what I care about, right?
So I partially agree with you and partially disagree with you as well. Like, I think that marketing is required for certain things. So I'll
Of
tell you
course.
where it matters. So for the consumer apps, like everyone likes to say, how can my grandma get a coffee using stable coins? Man, you should be getting coffee for your grandma. Stop wasting time. That's not the onboarding I'm worried about. What I'm
Right.
onboarding worried about is like builders right now, because more builders you onboard, the higher the chances of builders building applications that will be onboarding other users. So,
Good point.
leaders bringing leaders, right?
Yeah.
So for those builders, it's very important to have a religion I would say for a time being, not forever, but for a time being. Like if they don't have a religion, what will happen is they will have the shining star syndrome, and what they will say, Base has this good feature, Solana has good this feature, but where do I build my app? I can't learn both, and they will have analysis paralysis, and they will not get the
Right.
feature out. But if they have a religious, or if they just borrow somebody else's conviction into Base or Ethereum or Solana or Avalanche, pick any of that. As long as they have a religion, they'll be like, yeah, I'm building here. Here is my audience. Here is what I'm going to do. Then one major decision factor is out the road, and they'll ship faster. So that's why sometimes religious matter. And
Yeah.
I'm not a religious person in outside of like in my personal life as well. But I think one problem that religion solve in this case is like it basically removes the clutter and then allows you to focus on your day to day. The same thing that this particular religious belief in terms of crypto or chain solves is remove the clutter, focus on your application, because whether you choose Base or Solana, in those two cases, I think it doesn't matter much.
I
Pick
agree.
any of them, and the experience is what you build will matter more than they both have equal amount of distribution. Personally, think that there are cases where Base is better. There are very few cases, but there are cases where Solana is good. I've been called ETH maxi because I've gone through the cycles with ETH and I know why ETH is better than Solana. But you know what? If somebody says Solana is better, then I'm not going to argue with them. I'll try to understand their point of view, but I'm not going to argue back and say, hey, you're wrong. I'll simply understand their point of view and then ask the same questions as you asked me. Like, how are we getting more consumers on board? Period.
So I'm
Right?
I'm and I'm really, and here's the thing. I agree with you, and this is why I love having a show, is like I'm in this mindset where and I'm learning, right? So I appreciate your feedback, but here's the thing, like I'm looking at marketing from a perspective of an end user, right? Where you and this is where I'm being educated is like you're looking at it from the marketing perspective of a founder. So you do need that max, like that religion aspect of it for a builder, right? So what my perspective is on this, and I think we're going to find a lot of agreement in this, or at least agree to disagree at the end of the day. But what
Okay.
I'm saying is, of course, and so what I'm saying though is like, as an end consumer, I should not give a rip about what blockchain is being used to power the thing that I'm
Absolutely.
using. But to your point, and where I need to be careful of like that type of generalization of like, why does it matter? And like these religions, like, why are there hundreds of religions? The hundreds of religions are for people like yourself that are building and that understand what is being built. So that I completely agree with. And that piece I'm aligned with.
Yeah.
For me though, this is the thing. We have too many religions, in my opinion. Like again, I could
Yeah.
be
Yeah.
wrong here. And so where I'm
That's
where
okay.
I'm coming from is like, why do we have this mindset in the culture of Web3 right now where it's like, and again, this is not like a stance, this is more of like a observation and question, and would definitely want your feedback on this, but it's like, why do I need to be tied to a certain like network and ecosystem where the whole mindset, at least to my understanding, and like the thing that even brought me a huge part of what brought me here in the first place is the decentralization of it. And I feel like
Sure.
because of the way that things are being marketed and because of the maxi mindset, we're not able to truly traject the way that I think everyone is begging for. Because all I see on my crypto Twitter or Farcaster is like, when end user, when end user. And it's like, well, I think if we continue to silo and pigeonhole ourselves, we're never going to be this like uniform entity that will invite other like non-crypto natives to the table. Again, these are just my two
Yeah.
cents on the matter.
Yeah. No, this is where I partially disagree. And because we're talking about religions, we'll talk about religions. And like Hinduism is not considered a religion in some cases, it's considered the meta religion, where it's basically a thought process and nothing else. I think that's the same applies in this case. Like everyone should be able to ask questions. And if anyone disagrees with any part of anything in terms of a religion, they should be able to fork it and then start their own. And we don't know which ones were gonna work out. If I would have stayed with your thought process, we wouldn't have Solana. And I've actually
Right.
met the founder of Solana back in 2019. Again, I'm tooting my own horn here. Like I predicted that Solana will be in top 20. I should have predicted top 5 and bought some tokens. I didn't at that time. I was like, yeah, that's a good point. I'm going to stick to Ethereum though. And I still am doing that. I still think if Solana is great, I'm going to still stick to Ethereum
Right.
because this is where I think will help me get my iterations faster to get to the consumer. But we need all experimentations. I am in the favor of slow progress but all the experimentation so that after 5 years, 10 years, we should not be able to say that the consumers didn't come because we didn't do that experimentation. Screw that. Let's sit on all of it. If somebody has the energy to counter argue and then have the energy to create their own religion, in this case, new chain, and then have the backing of investors, builders, and eventually consumers, all power to them. Who are we to stop them? Like, let them
Yeah.
do it. It's completely fine.
And this is where I'm contradicting myself in my own thought process because I'm also the person that's like, I believe in a free market. I believe in competition. I believe in
Exactly, right?
creating to create. And so, yeah, and I stand by that and I believe in that. But then simultaneously, I'm like, well, we are like building horizontally by like
Mhm.
continuing to explore these religions. So like again, to your point, it's just not happening at the rate that we would all like it to, where
We are
everything comes
all
in.
impatient. We are all
Exactly. And
impatient.
so that's so like this is where I'm learning is like that's just coming from a place of impatience where it's like we need to expand, explore like so from your perspective and correct me if I'm wrong, you're like layer ones are great. Layer twos are great. Layer three, four, however many layers into like forks that you need to go to, great. You should be pursuing that to find the best infrastructure and the best foundation that possibly works for whatever you're creating. So for me,
Exactly.
I recognize that, but then simultaneously, how are we going to scale? And I think that we got again, this is a very tough task, and I think it's on everyone's mind, or at least the back of it. But it's like, how are we going to go up and to the right with end users if we are continually building the foundation outward, right? And
So
so,
here is my 2 cents on it,
yeah,
right? So
please,
first of all, I have opinions. It's okay to disagree and then go from there. So first
yeah,
of all,
that's what
my
we're here for,
opinions, we
man.
don't
This
need
is
more than
this is
layer two,
for okay, and that I
right?
will 100% agree with.
Right? So that's my opinion. But and I will condemn Degen, and I have done that with the founders of Degens and everyone saying, I don't think you guys need L3. However, if they had power at that time, they had money and they had backing of consumers and everything. So they did launch at L3, and I think one day my prediction is they'll roll back. However, I think L2 is where things will stand. Regardless, the real point we need to talk about is if an application requires their own sharded database to make it works, do that. Eventually, the consumers will learn where their backing is going to happen. For example, let's say a stablecoin infrastructure is built on top of Solana. Okay, I'm making it up.
Yep.
Hypothetical situation. USDC is already in Solana, but I'm making a hypothetical situation where a payment app is built similar to Waymo and Solana goes down. That means the entire infrastructure goes down. That means that people are not able to pay using that. That means that I can't buy my morning coffee using that Solana payment. I have to use my card, minor inconvenience. 2 hours later, I can start using it. But that will put a trigger and say, hey, what if it happens? The blackout happens for a longer period. That education, knowing that education, if people switch to Ethereum, that's fine. They switch to base, that's fine. But those are the cases are probably like, we are thinking too far ahead in the future. Let's just bring the next person or who is inclined to experiment on board. And I think we are fine. One step at a time. I've learned
So
this lesson by like being 80 years in the crypto industry. Crypto industry will work at the pace that it wants to. You can try to improve, but you cannot control.
got it. So okay, it's fascinating to me because I'm still learning. I'm still, especially from someone that doesn't have that background. I am just an observationalist. I am just here like without getting my hands really dirty. The most that I've ever done is try to vibe code a couple of mini apps and a website. Like that's the full
Perfect.
extent. And yeah, that's more than most in the in the world that they live it. But not my point. So for me, when I'm sitting here listening to you and you're talking about like how are we going to scale? How is this thing really going to be widespread globally? Okay, I'm sitting here with the debate of, well, this attitude of building horizontally is necessary. Scaling up will inevitably occur with a solid foundation. That's how I'm trying to like compartmentalize this. But to your point, and I'm trying to visualize it, it's like if you're looking at infrastructure and then all of the apps that build on it are going to go vertical. That's what's going to send us. So keep building out and provide options for builders so that like they're going to be able to find that exact network that's going to be appropriate for whatever it is that they're building. Great. But to
Exactly.
your point, if you're going deep and you start building these iterations of layer twos, layer threes, layer fours, then that's the opposite of going vertical. You're going into an opposite direction. Like I'm just trying to
Yeah,
simplify this
but
and
I'm
keep
not
it in
gonna stop
layman's.
people from doing that unless they ask for it, right?
Right.
Like
Right.
it's okay if they can find conviction, if they can find money, if they can find consumers, then I'm wrong. And it's been proven, right? It's been proven that like many L1s, what was the one I'm trying to remember? It started as a L1, and they launched L1, I'm like, this should be an L2, and they just like 2 weeks ago or so they launched an L2, and like yeah, we can just borrow the finality from Ethereum and then get the speed with ZK proofs, just like Arbitrum and Optimism have. Pick any of those infrastructure, both are good, and
Right.
then scale up that way. And I'm like, yeah, perfect. Again, scaling is not the problem. I think the technology is not the problem anymore. That's a solved problem. I think the use cases is the problem now. We want fart apps. I want as
Right.
many fart apps you can think of.
Yeah. No, 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 for sure. And going back, so Yasik was on the show the other day. And
Yeah,
so
yeah,
to your point, though, like he's finding a way to make it work. I agree with you where I'm like, is it necessary to continue these like L3, like then what was the point of the L2? Right. So I hear you, but if, hey, you can figure it out, then you're right. I'm wrong and you're wrong. But I mean, it could work. Well, what do I know? But
exactly. We don't know.
yeah, no, exactly. But so I think that's a good segue in talking about what Perks is up to, how you're, implementing things, what chain does it exist on? Like, can you take me through some of the inner workings of what Perks is doing?
Sure. So there are two products I'm working on. One is Perk and one is Basket. So let's talk
Right.
about Perks a little bit. Perks is again chain agnostic, but mostly EVM chain. We call it like an outside layer to blockchain because we don't really have Perks doesn't need to have a smart contract. It's more like if it's built for the social layer of the blockchain. So Farcaster, LANs, XMTP messaging. We had a Shopify app for frames and everything around that. So we ran a bunch of experiment, and right now the most useful feature that people have found is ability to reach out to their audience on Farcaster using DMs. That's what works the most. And right now, for example, I'll give you two examples. If you follow me on Farcaster, you'll automatically get a welcome message. And the welcome message would say, hey, this is what I do. This is what I'm working on. Here's a link if you want to check more out. That welcome message is very warming. And that actually creates a lot of conversation between somebody who just followed me. So that's a very good community onboarding for me and my products. That can be done by anyone. That's just an example of what you can do with Perks right now. You go and you connect your Warpcast, and then you can set up a welcome message for your own profiles or your product profiles. So that's one feature. The second feature is because these people are my followers, I can send them DMs anytime you want. Crypto the Game used this both features actually in order to onboard users and also actually during the game itself, like I think day 9 or day 10, there was a game where if you follow a particular account, a hint is sent back to you in their inbox, and then once they get the hint, then they can decipher it and forward it. So there are lots of creative ways Perks people are using, or people are using Perks, and
Mm-hmm.
then going forward. The problem is this is a very thin feature and doesn't deserve too much payment. So right now it's free product. I think it's reaching its ceiling. And because we are a VC-backed company, we need to find other more meaty, juicy product to buy it on and then work on that. And that's what Basket is.
Got it. So here's the thing, and I love your transparency and your willingness to be objective and even say like I disagree with you. So I just want to preface by saying that. And so
Thank you.
when I am looking at perks at a glance, like I told you earlier, like my objective here is to be fresh-eyed and like dive in. If you want to do demos, we of course we can at some stage. Like, and I want to give the platform to you to showcase what you're building. I
Perfect.
firmly believe in that.
I'll do that for
So
Basket. Yeah.
yeah, no, of course. And so with that said, looking at perks from a glance, high level, just it's unavoidable. It's like you can put yourself in this hole, but like inevitably you're going to see these things, especially like having you on the show. I'm going to at least take a look, right? First glance bias, I look at it and I go, okay, the use case is phenomenal. You can do a lot of cool stuff with this. Simultaneously, the thought that immediately came to mind, and I would love your feedback on this, is like the one skeptic thing I have about it, and the thing to protect yourself from is like this just being used as spam. There's nothing worse
Yeah,
than being in an inbox and just seeing a ton of mail from stuff that you do not care about. And for
absolutely.
me, the one thing that I'm really excited about with Farcaster is like there aren't as many bots. There aren't as much spam. There
Hmm.
aren't advertisements, right? And as an end user and as a consumer, I think that is such a like sacred ground of like, oh my gosh, this app or this company or this website doesn't even use ads. Like, wow, paradise. And then like at one point Netflix, like they recognize they're missing out a ton on ad revenues. Same with
Yeah.
Amazon Prime. And then all the thing like so for me personally, I don't like ads. I don't like spam. How do you like avoid your product like being put into that category and used for the positives that I genuinely see that it can be used for?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Spam is a problem for sure. We have a way to avoid spam in a couple of places, but I think Farcaster themselves doing good job at spam in themselves. If you do not follow someone, their message to you will go into, call it a spam box. Like I think it
Okay,
goes to the in request DMs or something like that section. So even if you use perks to send people messages that are not your followers, it will directly not show up on the recipient. It will go into the request bin. Let's put it that way.
cool.
So that's already taken care of thanks to the Farcaster APIs themselves. And if they follow you or if you follow someone, then you definitely want to hear from them. And if they are annoying you, then you just put them on unfollow and then it goes into the same bucket after that. So I think those problems are already solved for in most cases. I think what people are worried about is that what we have heard is we have sent via perks at the bottom of it. And because we don't charge, we don't.
Got it. No, that makes sense. Talking about like use case. So for me personally, like if someone's following me
Mhm.
and they click follow, I think that it's actually really slick, and I think it's really cool if you have your catered like hey, like thanks for following me, this is the type of stuff that I'm going to be doing here, this is the stuff I'm interested, can't wait to
Yep.
connect. Yeah, it saves me 5 seconds, and that's freaking awesome. And I think like that feature in itself is great, but one thing
Perfect.
is like for me personally, do I have the ability in perks, do I have the ability to say, hey, like I just want an introduction, like if someone follows me, hey, thank you. Please check out Startup Radar. Hey, like these are the things that I'm doing. These are the things I'm interested in. I'm really looking for this. Glad to connect on it. Please DM me and like let's get the conversation going. If it is the ability to just have that, but instead of like, I don't want to spam my followers, right? I don't want to have to continue like I don't want it to just be a perpetual like, hey, like talk to me, like what's up with it? Like, do you have the feature long winded? Do you have the feature to like only do a certain amount of DMs for your followers, etc.?
It's up to the sender, right? It's up to the sender. If they don't want to send more than one welcome message, then don't send more than one welcome message. It only does one. So it's up to you how you approach them. It's like if somebody gives you an email, you can decide how many follow-ups you want to do.
Right.
So right now it only does one, and that's only available. And after that, if you want to put them on a weekly newsletter that you want to send a DM for, then it's on the sender side control. It's not the recipient side control right now. And I'm hoping that people will be more mindful of that. In the past, we have received a couple of sender complaints and we have disabled their accounts. It happened only once, and it was a very interesting situation where somebody put their private keys online, and there was a whole thing about it. Let's not go there. But when
Yeah,
they put
yeah,
the
yeah.
private keys online, they just somebody else logged in as that person and then started DMing their entire followers and started spamming. So it's a different situation altogether. Other than that, we haven't heard complaints around that as much.
Okay. No, that's really good news and feedback. And again, forgive the ignorance. Try and do that strategically. So like when we do go through demos, if you have any perks demos or basket demos that you want to walk through, it'd be great to get like hands on with it.
Let's go with basket demo.
Okay, yeah.
We can
Let's
talk about that a little bit.
yeah, yeah.
So first demo, I think people get it. People know what that is. I think it's very, I would say, very understandable right away because there are lots of equivalent in the Web 2 world. Like you will find similar products in the context of Web 2, where Twitter bots are there. We don't call ourselves bot because again, there are lots of pluses and minuses around that, but there are things like that. So with that in mind, I think I would like to. Shit, I don't think my river side allows me to do it.
Here, I can't give you perms.
No, it's a permissions on my side that is
Oh, okay.
missing.
Yeah,
I
that's
will
fine.
have to quit and come back. Would you be okay with that?
Here, you know what I can do? Just keep it going. I'll log into Warpcast and you can just talk me through it. I think that may work
Let's
even
do
better.
that. That's even better.
Yeah. Let's do it.
Cool. So if you want to, just go to basket.farm and share your screen. I'll send you the link here.
Okay, cool. Let me do this. Shout out to Burtworst for always being on my
Here,
feed. Okay, so wait, what should I type
it's
in?
basket.farm. We started as a social challenge for creating baskets where whoever creates the best baskets gets like a win at the end of the week. And the win is determined based on how many people really create a great basket based on a number of people who bought it, number of percentage gain, and a couple other things as part of the formula. It's gonna come back. We kind of stopped doing the challenges on a weekly basis because we got like more than 500 baskets created. We're
Well,
like
let's
now we need to.
Chinmay, let's walk it back a little bit.
Yeah,
Explain to me what is a basket.
good point. All right, yeah, no, that's fair. I got carried away there. So
No. Of course,
basket
it's
is a way for people like you and me to create, like, put our research, put our whatever amount of time we have spent into a list of tokens and create a basket out of that. So I
so.
can
With that
basically
said,
say that
I can just so if I let's just use this for example. What a melting pot. Let's just check yours out.
my friend,
So
yeah,
so I go into this melting pot and it's showing the exposure to all different tokens that are out there, right?
absolutely. So this is Zed's this is Fred's basket. Fred is the founder of Zapper. You might want to have him. Usually they're pretty good builders.
Yeah, so
So Fred created a basket with his conviction, and based on that, he put in this roughly 10 tokens in one basket and say, hey, with this proportion, I think the basket will do really, really, really well. And based on that, he created a basket, and now people like you and me can go in and buy the basket. So anyone can create a basket, anyone can purchase anyone's basket. And every time we buy the basket that is created by Fred, Fred gets like a 1% out of that purchase because he did all the research earlier to make it happen.
okay, so let me pause here and discuss like the basket that's being acquired. So does that mean I get the tokens that are within the basket and it's just based on so I'll give USDC, I'm assuming, or ETH, whatever's accepted as a form of payment. In return, that basket will have essentially like an ETF or a mutual fund of the exposure of all of those pieces. And that's what that basket's holding. Is that the
Absolutely, yes.
so the basket is the financial vehicle that is holding all of the little meme coins that are in it. So instead of you having to put mass exposure to all in on Brett, and you only have $200, right? Instead of putting $200 into Brett, you buy a basket for $200 and then it will automatically allocate into the different meme coins that are within the basket.
Exactly, exactly. You're an investor, so you'll understand this because it's like a standard shotgun approach. Instead of putting your all eggs into one basket, put like diversify your basket. Again, no puns intended here, but that's how we named it. So that's the goal, where instead of taking one shot at one meme coin, which can go anywhere, surprisingly, you use the $200 limit because that's exactly the number that we found out when we do some user research. That's like a $200 a week kind of budget. It's funny, but you're spot on, sir. Well done. So that's exactly what it is. Like instead of spending my $200 in buying one meme coin and me researching and spending 2 hours, 3 hours on researching, I can use existing people's research or people who are smarter than me's research and then see what that looks like. And that's what this is.
Got it. Create a basket, earn fees.
Keeping
Perfect.
it simple.
Yeah, no, you got to. And so, what I'm assuming here, what would be really cool is to be able to showcase the top performers. So, I know you see it here, like all of the different users that have created baskets, but I'm assuming that there's going to be elements that are roadmaps where you'll be able to show, hey, here are the past basket creators. This is their performance. Go follow, like, that type of element,
Absolutely.
right?
So we're gonna go there. So if you want to open a new tab, I'll
Sure.
show you a previous page that we had, which we are bringing some components here. So basket.farm/contest. This is when we used to run contest. When I say used to, it's like only a couple of weeks old. And you'll see this part where you can do the score and then you can do a couple of filtrations here. and you'll see a couple of ways on how people have built their baskets.
Love
It
this
was a
one.
little bit abused when people started creating baskets with only 2 or 3 tokens, which I don't think is the purpose of basket. I think basket really provides value when you have like 4 or 5 tokens at least to start
Someone
with.
that's going through the trenches, someone's that doing deep analysis, figures out like what
Yeah,
devs docs,
absolutely.
figuring out like doing all of the like preliminary research that I don't have the time for. And then I can just
Exactly.
go, all right, I trust this person. I'm gonna put my eggs in that basket.
Exactly. Well done, sir. Yes, that's
Thank you.
exactly what the plan is.
Got it.
But so this is an old page. We are moving some components to the other page right now, which will allow you to do some more sorting. You can probably do like, you can say, give me all the baskets with this token because I definitely want this token as part of the basket. What other shots I should take around this? We are going in that direction. One problem that we have right now is we are sending all the tokens back to the user wallet. And some users have complained that, hey, you're giving on me all this dust now and that I have to manage. So we are like, okay, well, in that case, we'll just keep it in a smart contract and give you a representative token. So you can come back and redeem that representative token for selling all the meme coins at once and then get your ETH back. So there are feature being developed. We are also thinking of adding like a stop loss situation where if your basket is losing more than 50% of value and mostly it's not coming back, then just get rid of it and give the 50% value back to whoever purchased. And
No,
so
that makes
those things
sense.
we are building towards, but these are smart contract integrations which take a long amount of cycle.
No, that makes sense. So one of the things that's really interesting of this is, the purpose that you could use this financial tool for beyond just meme coins, right? The foundation
Mhm.
that you're building with this is really interesting. I mean, the build.
So
So
that's the
go ahead.
goal. Right now, I don't call this a financial tool because again, memes are not financial tool. Otherwise, President wouldn't launch it, right? Roughly speaking. So I don't call this a financial tool, but what it's the long-term strategy is the technology that we are using
That's
right now is
exactly,
extremely repurposable towards real financial assets. And when the real
absolutely.
financial assets go into it, that's where the fun begins. So right now we are basically taking the shot at meme coins to create a sincere infrastructure and technology
Of
with
course.
most volatile infrastructure, most volatile coins that you can find. These are meme coins, and that apply to more stable systems. So if it works on meme coins, it will work everywhere else. That's the thesis.
No, I love it. And I'm picking up what you're putting down, which is like you got to start somewhere. Why run the risk of having to deal with like very valuable assets? Like we can start with starting at square one. And then also what I think is maybe underrated is the fact that the tokens that you're testing this on are so volatile. So the fact that it's so volatile, you have to be able to, I'm assuming, be able to compensate for that. And then it even sounds
Yeah.
like it with, if this tool, if there is a stop loss mechanism that's added and you're having to like making sure that the algorithm is going to compensate for all of the different
Mhm.
movements so frequently, I cannot imagine that that is an easy process to figure out.
Yeah, no, we are in the process. I think liquidity sourcing is the biggest challenge, especially for this low cap meme coins. So figuring out which particular DAX will have the liquidity or at the time of execution, sometimes some of the tokens completely lose liquidity and that time the whole basket is rendered useless. We are looking into it. We don't have a solution. Like I'm telling you problems which we don't have the solution for, but we are researching.
Got it. No, this is really fascinating. I think hopefully the people that are watching this, they're going to realize the long-term value in this and not just the clunky, brand new website that is just like showing this is a true MVP, right? And
Absolutely.
to have the vision of be like, my goodness, like the capabilities of this, right? I think are very interesting and at a minimum would, love to talk further about this off camera, but this is really cool. This is really
Thank you
interesting.
so much. Yeah, no,
Yeah,
that's
of
the goal,
course.
right? We have a very senior team. One of the co-founders actually launched the first Bitcoin fund in Canada on TSX. She was the main person who wrote the prospectus. So we have a very senior team who understands the sincerity of this kind of product. We have tentacles into traditional finance and we also understand DeFi. We have been here for DeFi for at least last 7, 8 years.
Right.
So given that, we have a vision, but we have to prove the MVP to make it work before we execute the vision, because I think the vision is 3, 4, 5 years in the future. How do we basically provide value before even the vision comes to fruition. That's the key element.
No, that adds up. And I think one of the things that's really fascinating about it, again, just to reiterate, the directions you can take it, but even so, like, I got to assume that the thought is bringing traditional finance to Web3, right? So again, as these equities, bonds, etc., are going to be brought on chain to be able to have a basket. So instead of me having to rely on these institutions that are going to be creating, an ETF or a mutual fund, and you have to pay all of these extensive and crazy fees to be able to participate as a retail investor, go make your own or rely on the community and outsource so that it's not, in a silo of just these bulge bracket institutions that are like having they dominate the market. It's like if there is so much information out there today, whether it's through AI and ChatGPT, of just like figuring out, hey, do a research report on all of these equities, all of these blue chips, all of these like high growth companies. Tell me what you think, and then create your own ETF, and then go get fees off of that. I mean, it's going to take 5 seconds to do the research. You just got to put the thing together.
Absolutely.
So you're
So I
diversifying.
think there are a couple of ways to slice this, right? Like there are a couple of ways to think about the same situation. At least from my perspective that I've thought about is one is think about decentralizing the analyst behind any existing ETFs or mutual funds. I think that's what we are doing. We are lowering the bar for entrance for financial in the technology is in the future. That's what's going to happen. And one more way to think about it is right now for any mutual fund or ETF to be successful, the minimum amount of the AUM that is required, asset under management required, is around $5 to $6 million. Until then, it doesn't even make sense to have a particular ETF or mutual fund to exist because without that, you can't even survive two people as a full-time person, right? Forget the audit, forget everything, but you can't even have two, three people there with the fees alone. So with that, you can only have high value items as part of those high value mutual funds that can exist. But with this kind of technology, we are bringing that cost down to so much that even 100,000 or $50,000 products can still be available. And like this is going to be the penny stock version of that. So we are thinking that way. But again, that's like too much far down in the future. We have to still think think further, execute small. Execute small is can we get people to buy a basket? Period. Let's think about that.
I think, you just got to have the vision, and it sounds like you do. I mean, this is so necessary. So just quick backstory of like why Web3 is so appealing to me is because of the background that I had in the space, right? Is
Tell me
because,
more.
well, no, it's just, when I worked for a big wealth management firm, a bulge bracket one. And while I was there, I was always confused about, well, I'm always confused in general, but like I was confused at how they were able to structure the fees within these ETFs and mutual funds. Like, where did the financial advisor get their kickback? When I was young, like as an intern working at this firm, I would always like be curious, like, because a mentor of mine, Shaw Alashwami, bless your heart, but
Mhm.
he would always tell me like, follow the money. When you follow the money, you will see the
It's a
root of
very
like
startup phrase. I completely agree with you.
so simple, so profound, but like just follow the money in anything, in politics, in sports, in you name it. You follow the money, you will get your answers. And so for me, I was like, what's the incentive? So I was just applying myself to follow the money. So I would, because like as a 22-year-old, 23-year-old kid, I'm not thinking like, how's the sausage made here? What drives this thing? And it's all fees. There's two things that really power traditional finance. It's lending and it's fees. Like people make money from loans. That is like the driving force. Any like ultra high net worth individual, they leverage and they know how to leverage and they know how to put like strategic collateral about like around that leverage. That's one. And then secondly is fees. Transactional fees are the bread and butter for everything, even on Web3, right? So
Yep.
for me, I'm looking at these financial advisors and I'm like, how do you make money? Right? Because back in the Wall Street days of like smile and dialing, the Wolf of Wall Street, it was very much smile and dial, get commission on any close of however many equity, like however many shares they could close, right?
Yep.
But then we realized the predatory nature of that as a
Mhm.
society. And then DC had to get involved and start implementing new laws, which essentially got rid of that entire model altogether. Financial advisors could no longer be paid on a commission structure. It really has to be fee based. Okay.
Yep.
So all of these mutual funds, all they did was just raise the rates of the fees that they're charging. And then
Yep.
that then puts the financial advisors in a position, and then they're able to pay the financial advisors. If you solicit our product, we will then pay you. Right. So
Yep.
then that's where this boom of ETFs and mutual funds come out. But there's only how many people that are really creating these ETFs and mutual funds, and how many of those individuals that are able to solicit them are like doing it, right? So there's just moat,
Exactly.
and
It's
there's
very
just like
controlled.
this it's centralized, right? Like
Yep.
all of the long-winded jargon going to the root of it is it's centralized. It's controlled by the cabal of Wall Street, and they are
Yep.
making you pay additional fees to keep their lights on. That's not reality in Web3, and products and features and applications like this are solving that problem.
I hope so. That's the goal.
The goal of solving the problem, right? Like that is I
Yep.
would assume the ethos of like where this idea originated from. No,
No, that is absolutely true. Like that's exactly what it was. The idea originated because I have been again in crypto luckily for a long time, where I've seen a couple other index funds. Like my introduction to financial institutions is from the lens of DeFi. Like many people come from CeFi to DeFi. I'm actually became an investor from the lens of DeFi, where I've invested in DeFi before my first ETF in centralized finance, right? So with that logic, when I saw certain things and I'm like, why? Like I like every single time instead of accepting a particular fact, I've like every single time I had like a face palm moment. And I'm like, so I index fund something that is a very crazy like things I've followed and I know that it hasn't worked. Like there are already, I don't know if you ever had a chance to research enough in the index world running crypto, but there have been many attempts to make it happen. And that's why I'm not building an index fund, personally speaking. It's more like a basket where buying and selling happens in bulk. You want to check out Crypto 20, started in 2019, shut down in 2022 or something. You want to check out, damn it, my brain is reserve.org. They have a couple of index funds as well. You want to check out index co-op. They have some index funds as well. And they all are struggling to a point where it's a great idea, but the market is not ready for a full-fledged index fund. And because index funds people do as a passive investment and they buy and forget, it's not a trading. For most people, index funds are not trading asset. Index funds are
absolutely.
mostly hodling asset. And in crypto, I think there is only one hodling asset, which is Bitcoin. Although I'm an Ethereum maxi, I think if you want to hodl, then nothing else but Bitcoin. That's how I think going to work out. And that's how I've been placing my bets. So if
Absolutely.
that's the case, then index funds are not the way. Then if people want to just take shots, then you have to think from the taking shots perspective. And that's where the mindset of taking diversification of shots and trading comes in. And that's why the stop loss feature, that's why the liquidation at 2x, 3x functionality, those features come in extremely high in importance for us in the next few months.
No, this is great. A lot of thoughts here. Man, I'm like analysis by paralysis right now, trying to process all of this.
Tell me more. I want to hear
No,
all the ideas though.
yeah, no. I mean, one of the things that comes to mind is just the fact that like you're. I cannot stress the like importance of what you're doing in the sense of like decentralizing it, democratizing it, allowing others to build these portfolios because you're truly that is a real world problem and it's what web3 was made for, was for
Yeah,
situations like this, right? So
absolutely.
I really commend it. I think that's amazing that like it's an ambitious jump, right? To be able to
Yep.
accomplish this is not going to be easy for the long term, but to get the wheels turning and to actually start the conversation and put pen to paper on it is fantastic, and see it even at this stage that it's at right now. So that's really
Yep.
encouraging. It's really exciting. The thing that's fascinating too is talking about the passive investor attitude, right? So it sounds so silly. Of course, like I think it was like Dave Portnoy who said it, but he said that you know it's not a loss until you actually sell it. Like you're not
Yep.
actually losing money until you sell it. It's all fake.
Yep. Yep.
Fake money. It's
Applies to the
internet
game
money.
too,
It's
by
what
the way, but yes.
right. And how much I agree or disagree with that is still out for that's to be determined. But the point that I'm also thinking about those two of just like when I'm looking at tokens and when I'm looking at investing or buying, it's really like I don't know how I'm like segueing into this conversation, but trading as a whole, like it's all speculation on Web3 right now. We do not know what the ultimate thing is going to be. Things are not as established as the traditional markets as we know it. The
Oh
Googles, the
yeah,
Apples, the Fang, like those companies you can invest in. And even to this point, like I do think to agree with you, Bitcoin is the one thing that I think you can actually invest in, right? Like they have
you can
established
hodl.
themselves exactly. It is a store of value that we have all agreed upon. And the fact that it's already back to trading at six figures indicates that, right? So
Absolutely, yes.
I think you're spot on with that. And then I also think if you're looking at all of these alts, all of these different avenues, even things as degenerate and as speculative as meme coins, right? You're not going to find the real returns that you see everyone posting on crypto Twitter and whatnot without like, well, look, that the cabals behind meme coins, I don't even want to talk about that, but just like on the more legitimate entities like these blockchains and these networks, you're not going to be able to see these like crazy game changing returns unless you're in early. I think everyone already understands that
Yep.
concept, but like you do have to hold and you do have to invest in that sense. Where, like, for example, the people that were early in Solana, think about like the highs and lows that they had to endure. You can't predict that
Absolutely.
Solana's going to be going and trading at like anywhere from 150 to $250. Like you don't know
Yep.
that when you're in the moment, right? So the perspective that I have, and this is not financial advice, but it's like if I like a project and I like an idea, then I'm going to go put money at it and I'm going to set and forget it. I think it's these people that have the tendency to think that they can time the market. And it comes from a place of, I think it's a lot of people that came from DeFi and came from like SaaS, background, like someone that's a coder, developer, computer engineer. Those people like think, and they're so brilliant. People are so smart, but speculation is so freaking hard to like quantify and to like have a method in that like people that are like trading on leverage, I think is insane. Like I personally like I cannot stomach the idea of trading on margin. I can't bring myself to it. And I know that's how a lot of
Yeah.
people have made a lot of money, but I also know
Yep.
that there's a lot of people that have lost even more money.
Even
And
more money.
typically
Yeah,
it's the
exactly.
latter, not the prior, right? So for
Yeah.
me, I like when I came into Web3, I came in young and naive, had no idea. But the one thing that I saw when I was having actual success is from buying, holding, and leaving. But having
Yep.
enough money being put in that I'm not gonna be upset and like lose sleep over, you know, like you
Yeah.
got to put like yeah you could DCA into a couple things that are stable, but like okay there's super speculative tokens that are just out there that are providing utility, mind you. I also want to like say that I can't trade meme coins. I tried, I understand what it is, but the reality is like I have too much of a sample size to understand that it's just like it's not reality,
I'm
right?
with you. I'm with you 100% there. It's a mindset that requires a lot of risk taking. And I think rational people like us can only take certain amount of risk taking. After
Right.
that, it becomes irrational and we just stay away from it.
And then the point being to all of my tangent there is just like this is like I don't know, in a way mitigating risk. If you do want to be this is a vehicle that is allowing you to mitigate risk in the most degenerate speculative space. Like, hey, I've done my homework, at least I think, because it's so unpredictable what these devs are going to do. But with that said, I think I found a couple of good meme coins. Why don't you spread your bets among this? And that saves so much time, effort, and in the forefront of all, like just to begin with. But then additionally, you're trying to build something that's a little bit more risk averse. So I do appreciate this.
No, thank you. I think there are a couple of use cases. We have to make the product way more slicker before people feel comfortable buying more and then buying more meme coins and then trading more meme coins. But as soon as we get there, I'm pretty sure there's going to be some up.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And then also, Chinmay, for the sake of time, because as you're probably figuring out, I can rant forever. And whether it's right or not, I don't know. I'm just going off the top of my head. I could be wrong on everything I'm saying. But I also want to make time for perks as well. If again, if you're open to it, I'd love to keep the screen up and share. But if not, we can do it another time as well.
So let's do a quick perks one. I'll
Sure.
probably have to bump in 5 minutes, but I honestly, I think in 5 minutes you'll be all set up. So let's
Yeah.
try it.
Cool. Let's
Go
do
to
it.
percs.app, go to percs.app. There is a button called sign in with Warpcast, bottom left. Click there, perfecto. Then there you go. Let's get your welcome message set up. It's gonna take
Yeah.
less than 5 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
Let me log in. Sign in. Signed in. Continue. Jeff H. Team name. Can I just do this?
Yeah, you can do whatever you want.
All right. Strange
So I
messaging.
think it's
Just
messaging, right? So click on messaging. Yeah, that should work actually. Just click on add Warpcast. The onboarding should work.
okay.
So we
What
need to
do I need
get
to go get?
yeah, so but there is a link already. If you
Oh, there
click on it.
is.
Yeah,
Okay, cool.
yeah. So just
This one?
like, yeah, there you go. Yeah. If you want to, you might want to share you might want to like hide your screen or
Hide.
maybe change
Yeah.
yeah, for a second.
Okay. And then create
Yeah, create. Oh, it says
messaging
setup
on there.
message. Oh, wait. Go, just click back as soon, oh shit. I think go
It's all right.
back.
It's all right. We'll figure it out.
My bad.
Where am I looking?
It doesn't, on the left side, on the
Oh, it's sorry.
for
No,
the
no.
left.
My
There you
bad.
go.
My bad. Yep, I'm here.
Yeah, no, it's all good. Now, let us continue the setup. I think it's already there. So click setup. And what is your welcome message that you want to
Uh,
say
just
to your?
I just want to test it. Hey everyone. And that would so if I click send, that's going to everyone.
No, it's not going to anyone. It's anytime somebody follows you, only they are going to get it.
Oh, so once someone
It's a welcome
understood.
message. It's a welcome
Understood.
message for people to when they follow you.
Got it. Okay, so I'll play with this later. So this is where you build your welcome message, and then this is the request for new automations. I'm assuming I have to go to you and say, "Hey, look, I'm starting a campaign. It's going to be addressing this, this, and this." You would help me. It's a little bit white glove if it's a beta still, and then that would be able to get
Absolutely.
pushed out.
Yeah.
All right,
You
awesome.
can even do more right now. If you go to messaging in the left side, you can basically create a message.
Oh wow, you have XMP TP as well. That's awesome.
Yeah. We started with XMTP.
Oh,
So click
nice.
on create message and you'll be able to send message to all your followers as well if you want to right now. That part is already built.
Got it. No, this is really
So
cool.
so yeah, we just copied Klaviyo, I'm not gonna lie. Klaviyo is a really solid tool. We just repurposed it for Web.
Amazing. If you can't, yeah, there's nothing wrong with imitating someone is a
Yeah.
form of flattery. So I love it.
Yeah,
No,
no, I
this is
think they
great.
did amazing job. I'm a fan of what they've done,
Yeah,
and I'm not competing with them. Otherwise, I would be really mindful of this. They're not gonna get into Web3 anytime soon. So yeah, we literally took screenshot by screenshot of what they have done in a good way, like, and then learned from it. And then like literally we did analysis of that, and then we recreated the everything from scratch after that.
got it. No, this is great. We're a bit over time. I try and keep these at an hour, so that's probably a sign of a good thing that we were able to do this
Love it.
in the way we did. This is such a fun conversation, Chinmay, and I appreciate the
Likewise.
insight. I learned a lot. Thank you for putting up with my
Same.
rants as well. And man, I hope to have you on again. Would love to have your people on too. Anyone that you think would be a good fit, send them my way, man.
Perfect. I think Fred from Zapper might be interesting. I have actually not seen his face in person, so I don't know what he looks like, but he builds cool product, and I think he would be a good person. If you want, I
Yeah.
can just tag him in the next post.
Yeah, no, of course, please do. And then I also think, look, anything that is updated and being built on either one of these basket or perks, would love for you to drop it in the channel so that we can start getting the flywheel of a lot more community members getting in front of the app or protocol, whatever you're building, and be able to give you good feedback. That would be awesome. I would love that.
Perfect. I'll keep posting there on a regular basis. I actually like posting about products as well. I'm a product fan as well.
Spam. We were talking about spamming earlier. If you want to spam my page and start shilling, I would love for you to do it because I want to keep up. And there's so many getting moved in so many different directions. I would love to just be able to go back and see all of these cool startups that are popping up in the channel. So Chinmay,
Beautiful.
it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for making the time, and I hope we can do this again really soon.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, Jeff. Really fun.
Awesome. Take care.